I went to start the A levels, and for the first 2 weeks, all through my life, whenever I went to school, my mother would always pray for me. God, help my son in school. Whenever I went from school holidays, going home, the first thing, you enter your home, your house like this, before you do anything else, it is prayers to welcome you home. Thank you, God, for bringing our son back safe and sound. And it had an impact on me. I chose to be a Christian at a very early age in primary school. And it is the rest of my life. The prayers were very meaningful to me. So as I was battling, trying to choose the careers and deciding what to do, I thought the Lord was leading me into engineering and do the relevant subjects. But when I joined that Form 5, the first 2 weeks, God sent a Muzungu to channel me in the right direction. Now, this man who was all brainworks in physics, a Dutchman, an English, a Catholic brother, he had just qualified school from university, and he was all enthusiastic, but he didn't know English. And so he was speaking English in Dutch. And for 2 weeks I sat in this class, I got nothing. If for those of you who have read Advanced Level Physics by Parker, you know those 2 weeks, epsilon, theta, integration, differentiation, numerical analysis, and I was sitting there, I was saying, hey, oh God, I have failed. If this is the man who is going to teach me, I have failed. And A-level is only 2 years. So after 2 weeks, one day I just took my desk and joined the biology class. I said, God, I have stopped engineering, I'm going to be a doctor. So I ended up doing maths, chemistry, and biology. And that's how I ended up in the medicine career and ended up being a doctor. And all the time when I look back, I just say, Lord, I think you sent that man to put me where I needed to be.
Thank you.
So for you right now as we talk to join medicine, it all starts with hard work in high school, and you need a minimum of 4 A's. You've got to get an A in maths, in maths or physics. You've got to get an A in a language, either English or Swahili. You have got to get an A in biology and an A in chemistry. There is no shortcut. That's at least for medicine as you do it at the University of Nairobi. I don't know what the other medical colleges, medical colleges do, but for us, that is the minimum. So you really have to be an all-rounder, good in everything that you are doing. You have to be somebody who loves reading and studying.
Thank you very much. Next.
Morning. Let me break from the tradition here. If we proceed the way we are doing, I think we end up consuming much of the time which is slotted for the other sections. I want to be so brief, and I hope the next speaker will be so brief to save on time. I'm Charles Nyarangi. I'm a member in this church. I'm from a least understood aviation industry called aviation. In my college, I did project management, and later I did what we call flight operations, what we call flight planners or dispatchers. I work for a company called Aircraft Leasing Services, or ALS. We are based at Wilson Airport. Basically what we do, we don't do scheduled service. We are doing contract flying. We do flights for the UN, International Committee for the Red Cross, MSF, and the World Food Program. So wherever you see a UN-branded aircraft, don't think it belongs to the UN. It belongs to operators who the UN contracts. The UN don't own aircrafts. So I'll be so brief. So in aviation, I've got a slot somewhere where I'll be taking you through what you need to do. But wherever I've got a conversation with the youth on career, I want to read for you a quote from a man I respect so much. There are two of them. I read one. This will just form part of my conversation I'll later have with you. There's a guy called Henry David once said, if one advances and walks toward the directions of his dream and endeavors to live the life he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpectedly in the common hour. If you have a dream and endeavor to walk towards to actualize your dreams, you'll meet success at the opportune time. That is Zig Ziglar said, you don't have to be great to start, but you need to be great. You need to start to be great. So later I'll be taking through, those are the basics where I'll base my conversation later. I'll take you through what aviation courses are there. You want to be a pilot, you want to be a flight operations officer, you want to be an engineer. In aviation, a common definition for aviation is just, aviation is the industry for designing, manufacturing, operating, maintaining aircraft. So I'll tell you what do you need to do to design aircraft, which rarely does not happen on this part of the world. What, as engineer Salm would agree with me, the operators, the airlines operators get the ready-made aircrafts. You bring them to operate. You need engineers to maintain the aircraft in the airworthiness manner based on what we call the flight manuals and the maintenance manuals. The flight manuals guides you on how to operate the aircraft, and the maintenance manuals guides you on how to maintain the same aircraft in the airworthiness manner so that they continue flying for you. So later, I've got a slot somewhere, I think. I'll be taking all the students who are interested in aviation through that. If you want to be a pilot in this part of the world, it's quite expensive. Let me start from there. But there are so many courses in between there. You can't be a cabin crew, you can't be an engineer, you can't be a dispatcher, you can't be a management. You do more universities offering what we call aviation management degree, where you become a CEO, and so many other things. So my current position at ALS, in charge of flight operations. I'm the flight operations manager with ALS. So the students out there who need internship in flight operations, there's an opportunity to interact with me. Maybe I could be offering some slots for you. Thank you very much.
I'm
so grateful to be here today. My name is Ruth Nyarangi. I'll start with the second question, and I must mention I feel a bit nervous. So the second question, how does someone become me? I would not recommend you become me. I'd recommend three things. Following your intellectual itch. I think we live in a world, I identify as a millennial, and probably I'm closer to Gen Z. Those who don't know who Wangari Maathai is, and they'll be like the shorty for the trees, you know. So I identify closer to that age group. But I'd mentioned following your intellectual itch, being exploratory, and also like taking this world as your oyster, really, like going for it without taking breaks. Like not taking break. I mean the break for BRAKE. Yeah. As in just explore. So who's Ruth? My name is Ruth Nyarangi, as I said. I currently work as the academic coordinator of a newly established research hub called the Refugee-Led Research Hub. It's hub for the Refugee Studies Center from University of Oxford. And my work as an academic coordinator, I'm in charge of all the academic programs. And our hub takes in individuals who have lived experience of displacement, so mainly refugees. And we're trying to create for them an opportunity to access graduate school and to access opportunities in higher education. My background. I studied international relations in United States International University of Africa, and was schoolmates with Eldon Nyansha when he was doing his master's there. After that, I followed my intellectual itch and went to University of Oxford, where I studied refugee and forced migration studies, my first master's, and my second master's I did African studies as a Rhodes Scholar. After this, I'm really happy to chat with anyone about Rhodes Scholarship. And besides the academic pursuit and everything, I'm an avid mountaineer. I'm really keen on exploring the mountains that we have and currently training to summit Batian. And besides that, I identify as a creative. I love poetic work. I love literary work. And also besides that, I deeply care for reading. And my reading is not limited. It's quite eclectic. Thank you.
George.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
George Morara Nyakweba is my name. I work for the government, all through. Mimi ni serikali, and the serikali ni mimi. So I'm a lawyer by profession, and currently working as a deputy executive director at Kenya Copyright Board. And I know most of the youth here, in one way or the other, they ought to interact with the Kenya Copyright Board in terms of ensuring that their work, in terms of intellectual property rights, are protected. That which you do as a youth, you need to come to our office and ensure that we are protected that. Now, I'm married with one beautiful wife who is also a member of this church. Apparently, she is not here. She's actually out there with the little ones. I hope she was to be here so that she can also be able to give us the backup. Now, that said and done, now what did I do? I did law. Right from a university. I have studied law for the last, is it 7 years? Yes, it's 7 years. 5 years undergraduate, 2 years postgraduate. And I majored in intellectual property rights. And the matters on intellectual property rights, it includes patents, trademark, industrial design, copyright, geographical indication. That is the area that gives you what we call as intellectual property rights. Now, in terms of why I want, perhaps would encourage you to be able to join that profession, is that all of us here in here will require knowledge in law. Whether you like it or not, that knowledge is very important. And I want to believe that all the panelists here, they have done some part of the law in their course of, in their period of studies. So, but once you have identified that you want to become a lawyer, that which is known as legal profession, the noble profession, you need to be able to have a mean grade. I think currently is B+ and above, and you must be able to have a B+ in all the languages. And then the mean grade should be B+ and above. And then once you have gone for a course in any of the universities, and I think we have so many in the country that are doing law, you must be able to go through another postgraduate diploma at Kenya School of Law, where you are trained on how to become a lawyer. And once you have graduated from Kenya School of Law, then you are admitted to practice as a lawyer of the High Court of Kenya. And in terms of the practice, we have various laws that you can be able to practice. Most of the people do conveyancing, criminal law, commercial law, and among many other ones. And if you're a lawyer, you can be able to work anywhere. You can be able to work in private. You can be able to work for government, as I'm working for government. I've never worked as a private lawyer, but I'm working as a government lawyer, and I do what we call criminal law, but in terms of copyright. We prosecute those who infringes on other people's rights. So that's part of the work that we do in our office. Thank you, and I want to believe that we'll be able to interact more.
Thank you very much. Now, the various specialists that are here are going to meet you one-on-one in the various round tables that we are going to have. And this is how the round tables are going to be. Healthcare, led by Dr. Ochanda, Dr. Motaroki, and Elder Onyinkwa, will be at the back there, the old church, at the center of that back. Engineering, technology, and the aviation will be at the back also of the church, just where the IEK banner is. That is where engineering, technology, and aviation will be. Marketing, procurement, and supply chain will be on the first row. So first row on the left. Oh, first row on the left here. You will be here. Then legal and social sciences will be at the center, and we will be with Morara. Marketing will be with Douglas Onyancha. Engineering will be with Engineer Githinji, myself, Elder Frank, and Mr. Osindi. Those will be back there. Legal and social sciences will be with Morara and Ruth Nyabuto. They will be here. Then finance and accounting will be first row on the right there. At that first row on the right, they will sit there. ISPAC team will be with you. Now, this is how the panel is. But I want to give them questions that you have sent to us before. Each one of them, one question that you sent to us. After they have answered the one question, and the ones you sent are a few, so I will add them some from the notes that I was writing. I will give the congregation here a chance to ask one question per row. So one question there, one question here, one question here, and one question here to the panel. And it is specific question, experiential question, your own, something you are sure that will contribute to the knowledge base of everyone else and cannot be asked in your panel. If it is something that can be asked in your panel, please keep it to your panel. If it is something you think will contribute to everyone, that is when you can ask here. So I will give each one question out of the questions that you ask. And the first, I will go also in the order that they have spoken. So to Coach Getu, HRM, 15 years experience, currently working in Airtel. How did school prepare you for your career? Please, as you answer this question, don't build trees. Go straight to the point, answer this question. Thank you.
So for me, and I go straight to my campus life, I got a chance to get involved in various projects. And I got a chance to get a mentor, the professor I mentioned earlier, who saw something in how I was participating in the projects. That is one side of it. And when he saw that, he was candid enough to tell me, Gertrude, yes, I know you're passionate in, actually I was passionate in marketing. He said, Gertrude, I know you really, really want to pursue marketing, but I would propose that you consider pursuing HR. I listened. That is one. Number two, the kind of courses and support I got from my fellow colleagues. So there was the aspect of, yes, classwork, and the allies I was able to form during our class sessions. Those really came in handy, yeah? Because you can't do this as in an island. You have to work with others. So those groups we formed as allies really helped.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Githinji, your question is different. Your question is, you are currently changing career and you're going into a startup. Why start your own and not depend on employment?
Thank you. I've done career mentorship for the last 3 years or more, specifically with people. And there's something I tell people. There are three kind of maybe roles in which you can choose. There are those who are really good in management, in employment. So if you find yourself really aligned in employment, just know that is where your heart is. And if you start working on something, it may be very bad. And then there are those ones who are really good in building things. And then there are those who are really good in building businesses. So those are the three areas. And yes, there are those ones who can go with two. But if you are a true master, you can do one. That's why there are those, I don't know why.
So
but
please repeat that point. Mastery is about specialization.
Yes. So the whole point here is not everyone can be an employee. Not everyone. Not everyone can do 8 to 5. Not everyone can follow those rules that you are being told, you need to do this, and you see this doesn't make sense, and you still stick to that. So not everyone can do that. And then not everyone can work in a chaotic environment where things are hitting you right, left, and center, and you are still smiling. That is entrepreneurship and startups and stuff. So not everyone can do that, and then not everyone can keep money in a business environment where you are monitoring each and every shilling and you are making a billion empire out of that. So I don't know why, but I feel if I stick to employment, I'll be giving 5% of my potential to my employer.
So as a startup, you think that you will be using 100% of your potential?
More than that.
More than 100%.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Our sister Rose Tinderet, your question is a little complex. There are stereotypes, like marketing stereotypes you talked about. There are stereotypes that utaenda kuokota, and there are stereotypes said about accountants that all accountants are thieves and accountants are mean. Just say thieves. Now, how do you deal with stereotypes in various professions, and especially in your profession, please?
Thank you for that question. I tend to think that when it comes to whichever profession you decide to sit in, there'll always be stereotypes. And one of them I can also add on is that accountants do not have jokes. But that is not true, right? Yes, so it's not true. Yeah, so the thing is just being able to, just separate yourself and being able now to show your unique abilities. Because when it comes to any profession, just looking at my example, when my fellow campus mates were telling me that I'll be selling biros out in the university gate, which wasn't true, and the fact that some of these stereotypes are not really true. So some might not, it's basically not factual. When you say accountants are mean, accountants are thieves. So you see that is not true because it's more of a personal thing. So it's also forms decisions of how do you want also to be able to position yourself. When it comes to ethics, that's also very critical. So it's a matter of being able now to know yourself and ensuring that you also give it your best, and also don't rely on information said out there. So just being able to stand out and sit within your profession. And the other thing that I'd be able to pick also, looking at my campus experience, and this also happens to everyone in this room, is that there'll always be a lot of peer pressure. You always think that peer pressure is only in high school, but also in university there's a lot of peer pressure. Because I remember my friends, majority who are in the accounting profession were saying, why would you want to go into an area that you'd now go to the streets and become a hawker? So there was a lot of pressure because I had 3 friends of mine who went into the accounting profession and they stood firm. So they kept on convincing me. So it's being able now to really know yourself and know what is your goal, and being able now to confidently go in that direction.
So would you talk briefly about how to maintain professional ethics within the accounting and other professions? Yes.
So I think when it comes to the accounting professions, there are also rules and looking at each and every profession. So it's more of being able to ensure that you follow what the books say. And when I talk about the books, the fact that we are all here in church, I think plays a very critical role in how you sit in a profession. How we'd be able to deliver services without really getting the temptation to be able to, get ahead in unscrupulous manners, in an unscrupulous manner. So the question of integrity and being able to sit is just to ensure that there's a tendency with this generation, and I'm talking about millennials and Gen Zs, that you see guys driving Porsche Cayenne, driving bigger cars, but there's always, you need to be able to trust the process. So that is one of the things that would really not keep you in shape and ensure that you sit in the profession. Because some of us have been in the career for, more than 10 years. There was expectation that by the time I get into my first work, my first job, then I'll be driving a big car. But reality hits you when you get there. That is not always true. So you need to be able to trust the process and ensure that you also, being able to consult and just find out then how did this person make it here. I'll give an example like my CEO, I know probably he's online, yeah? He's an accountant and he's the CEO of the institute. So there's a question of then how then do you differentiate yourself, then how do you maintain the rules that are set within each and every profession? Ensure that there are courses that are being offered, free courses also offered online. Being able to have mentors. I am a mentor. I sit in the Association of Accounting Students of University of Nairobi. So have mentors that would be able to guide you in the right direction.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Douglas Onyancha, yours are also specific. The first question, you have two questions. The first is career change. How do you change and what are the factors to consider? And you faced a Sabbath factor issue. So would you answer, what can necessitate a career change and what factors can you consider before changing a career from one to another as you did? And then the second one is the Sabbath factor. How critical is it and why should we observe it in the first place? Yes.
Okay.
I saw you like standing and you're free to stand.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, unfortunately. Yeah, so let me start with the first one about the career switch. Many a times you have to look ahead. Personally, I saw engineering to be restrictive. So I was saying, where will I diversify my career? And that actually is what made me build a career in supply chain. And because I also was into management, I went into doing an MBA. I think that's where we met. So I think you also look at what do you want to be ahead. And let me say this, will allow me. When I finished my high school, I met one guy in his office and he told me, no, so what do you want to do? I told him, I want to be a managing director. And by the way, I'd not even known what a managing director is. So then I asked, then he told me, okay, but you want to go and do engineering. Yeah, then I told him, but I will also do accounting. And one of the things, I actually love accounting, but I've not, I didn't go to get certificates in accounting, but because of my passion, it's one of the things that I also like, I also studied and all that. So one of the things that I would say is this, what you want to be, look at your horizon, that will dictate whether you are going to switch or not. Because like me, I remember even when I quit one of my jobs, I said, between me and the CEO is it's like one level. So I said, by the time this guy moves, I'll have done...
so do your analytics and then make the change.
Exactly.
Please go to the next question because of time, the Sabbath factor.
The Sabbath question, I would say, it boils down to the individual. And I can tell you it will not start now. Okay, and if it has to start now, let it start today, not tomorrow. Because for me, it dates back even to high school. I remember even we were being given exams on Sabbath, and I remember I didn't attend one. And one of the lecturer, he was actually a biology lecturer, teacher, called me and said, you mean you're absconding my exam? I told her, no. It's only that you brought it on Sabbath. So by and by, that was my principle, that if it is on Sabbath, then it's not for me. And I can tell you this, I like what one writer, for those of you who know her, she's called Ellen White, says that those who honor God, he will also honor them. There is no way he will leave you. I can tell you this, I got the job I am in amidst many other challenges, because where I was before, nobody would expect that one would jump out and get to some place. I mean, it's, I won't go into the many details, but all I want to say is this, you must also be a person of principle, because I mean, the Sabbath question is not a small question, because here you are, there is bread and there is want. So it's about choosing. You want to choose want or you want to choose bread. You know, at times it's like the way Satan says, you have everything before me, but this is it. So you have to make that choice. But again, for me, I said, this is the choice to stick to it, and God opened the way.
Thank you very much. The next questions are to Dr. Ochanda. Dr. Ochanda, the issue of drug and substance abuse, you participate in ISPA, is very prevalent among the youth today and denies them many opportunities and full potential exploration. What is your advice on how to avoid getting hooked? This is your question.
Number one, arm yourself with information. What is the truth about drinking alcohol and taking bangi? Just recently we had a session of ICP, and one of our medical students who attended told us that so many medical students now turn to bangi because somebody told them that it's harmless, and when you take it, you get energetic and you can read and do things, with excess energy. Misinformation and disinformation. The devil is a liar, a thief, and a murderer. He leads you within misinformation and disinformation. And he shows you just the tip of things, but he holds the rest within his hands. He tells you it's pleasurable. It is pleasurable. Drinking is pleasurable. Taking bangi, all these things is pleasurable. But what the devil doesn't tell you are the consequences. Addiction, dependence, helplessness. Addiction itself is a terrible disease. One of the most difficult things to get out of is drug addiction. You see alcoholics, the way they struggle in rehabs for months, a year. And when he leaves, he has made up his mind he will never go back. He leaves, he's released, but before he reaches home, he's drunk. Then he comes back again. It is terrible. Out of 100 people you help to stop smoking, by the end of 1 year, 80% of them are already back smoking. It is a very difficult disease. You kill yourself as you are seeing. Somebody has drunk, he has destroyed his liver, and liver failure with cirrhosis, his kidney failing, is swollen and is anemic, and he is told by the doctor, you have just a few months to live. You have to stop. And he still continues to drink. Addiction is a terrible disease. Please arm yourself with the right information. That's number one. Number two, don't start. Don't start. The moment you start, the way is open. You may escape, you may never escape. Out of people who drink socially, 10 people who drink socially, 2 to 3 of them will get hopelessly alcoholic. Okay, and it will destroy their lives. A few people are able to drink, and they keep on drinking moderately, and in fact, that's what encourages young people to drink. They think, you see, your minister, your MP, God forbid, even the president, and you see them drinking, and you say, like Kibaki used to say, pombe si mbaya, hata mimi nakonywa. But in the end, he had a dementia, and he could hardly carry himself. You will die prematurely before your time. Please arm yourself with the truth. Don't start. That's the only way to prevent it.
Thank you for being to the point. Charles Nyarangi, your questions are two. Sorry to ambush you with two. Agility. Say something about agility, especially in the aviation industry. And the second one is, many of us want to be pilots. Can you still be a pilot when you are an engineer and you be a pilot for your own plane? Those who want to buy their own plane, and please.
Okay, let me start with number 2, and there's a reason. I'll show you the reason. Can an engineer, an advocate, become a pilot? Yes. My chief pilot, as we speak, I don't want to mention the name of the father, is a son to a retired senior judge. His father wanted the son to be a judge, or to be an advocate of the High Court. He said, you must do law at the University of Nairobi. He told him, I want to go to South Africa and do aviation, become a pilot. He said, no, I need you to become a judge. You take over from me. So the son was so clever. He said, okay, Mzee, you went through the Nairobi University, you did the law, went to the school of law, he got admitted. He sent him somewhere for people at a senior company in town for advocates. He did it. After 1 year, he was admitted to the bar or to the bench. Then he went back with the admission certificate to the father. My dear father, this is yours. I'm telling you what is there. I'm not just, this is what our chief pilot. Now, Daddy, what you do? I'm not going to South Africa. I want you to send me to an institution in the US where it will take me 3 years to get my PPL, my CPL, and my ATPL. No, my CPL, my student pilot license, and then private pilot license, and then the commercial pilot license. And you know what? The father had no option. He had to send the son to the US. He did his piloting there. He came back. He's one of the best pilots you can think of in Kenya. He's never practiced law. If he wants to go back, he has to follow a procedure of admission, practicing somewhere. So you can do.
You can do both.
You can do.
Thank
That's one of the, then the head of operations is a doctor at our place. He was a doctor, the father wanted him to be a doctor. He went all through, he's an Asian. Then later he said, okay, my dad, I'm a doctor, but I don't want to be in that industry. I want to be a pilot. He went, he did his pilot, he's now the head of operations. So you can easily be, you can be a pilot. With politicians in this country who are pilots, what they do for you to, Stalin can agree with me, for you to remain valid with your license, you need to do periodical flying, what we call the proficiency checks, then you get your license renewed, so you can easily do that. And then number one, it's so straightforward. In aviation, it's either A, or we call it, it's either B, or let me use the language used, it's either Bravo, which is for B, or Papa for B. It can be two-way. You can't say Peter when you meet Peter. It can be Kamau when you meet Queen. It's communications. Communications comes with a lot of, aviation comes with a lot of discipline. Most companies, including where I work, when a pilot walks in, and we're handling about 106 pilots, 46 flight attendants. When you walk in the morning, you are doing a flight to Kisumu, okay, Engineer Puge, come here. This guy has to do a test on you to find if you're okay. Because you need to be certified through that test that you are able, you're in the right conditions to operate this aircraft. You're operating a 1 billion aircraft, carrying some of the very, very important persons, and we need to be sure that you are you're in a sober mind. So innovations, you can't have it the other way around. It's either straightforward or the other way around. It can't be. Either can try it when I'm half drunk or, so you need to be so genuine with yourself and with your trainings. The goodness with aviation, and Salman, I'm referring to, we are monitored in closely by Kenya Civil Aviation Authorities. If your aircraft was supposed to be maintained after 500 hours, that's what we do. It's best, like us, we've got bases across Africa. One aircraft is based in Tunisia. There's a way I plan to make sure this aircraft is in Nairobi before the 500 hours are done. If the hand's in Cameroon, which means I have to do my maintenance in Cameroon. If I don't do that, someone will agree with me, okay, say will be on my neck. And once they will give you a level 1 finding, you close the operations. Okay. It's so straightforward. It's so straightforward. If you land somewhere and your hours are done, or if the maintenance which are done based on months, if it's ending on 31st of July, most of our aircraft, I'm using as example, they're based out of Kenya. We need to do planning of ferrying that aircraft in a way that it lands in Nairobi by midnight of that first. If that's an issue and lands in Chad, in Jamena,
it will not be managed.
It will not be. It's good. So it's so sincere.
Thank you very much.
There's no other way down. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Now, to the self-confessed millennial, your questions are a little tougher. The first is how to balance creativity with putting food on the table, paying actual bills with these things. And the second is balancing play and work. You are mountaineering. So how do you balance play and work? Is it, how do you balance this? So please proceed.
Thanks for the questions. I'm much less nervous right now. So we'll start with the first one, balancing, putting food on the table, money and creativity. I think we have grown up, I'll critique of our parents' generation or the much more elderly generation as being more linear and also being like, you need to specialize in this one thing. So you need to be a master of one. And I disagree with that. You can be a jack of all trades. And I know we never finish this quote. We normally say jack of all trades, master of none, but it's better than a master of one. Having said that, in as much as there's creativity, for me, I value creativity. It's the center or even how I do my work. Even like, okay, I spoke too quickly, I did not say exactly what I do. At this moment of my life, because I'm open to exploring and becoming different things as I go ahead, I work in academic research. It's something which I'm quite interested in. And I must say I'm privileged because I'm in a space where I'm able to explore things that I want to do, teaching, academic research, research itself, and working with a population that I've studied theoretically. And I'm working with them as my colleagues, refugees. So I bring creativity to the center of my work. Creativity is not outside my work.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how I'm able to balance. And I must say, I give my best. Yeah, I give my best. Like, there's no halfways. Yeah, and I mentioned Oxford. I definitely was not an A++ student, but I gave my best. And you can't get into Oxford if you do not have a certain grade. And when I got there, I gave my best also. So that's how I carry out my life. And I think when I give my best, abundance will always be there. The second question.
Yes, balancing play and work, mountaineering and now actual productivity.
Now, let me bring it, let me critique your question also. I think it's a wrong question to ask. Because, again, we've been taught that, and one thing which I critique our society's education systems is that play has been considered to be something that detracts from how you perform in class. So we're having kids who study from 9, like early in the morning, 5 a.m. to 6 p.m., and they do not experience play. For me, I think the mind is a muscle, and doctors will correct me here. One thing that I picked from University of Oxford, because I went there with the same mentality of, man, I get here, I sit in the library, I work, and then I get here and I'm looking, wait, people are out here playing basketball, I go to the swimming pool, people are here swimming, people are here doing drama, people are here doing theater, people are here doing all these things. And my first year, I ran into burnout because I thought I'm coming into this place to study and do nothing else. But my second year, I thrived because I realized play should be part of my life. That's how this mind is a muscle, that's how you bring it up, that's how you grow it up. So even when you're working, one thing that challenges me now with the 9 to 5 is I do not have time to run. I do not have time to swim. I do not have time to explore nature. I do not have time to do all these things. So I have to bring it back to my life. How do I do this? I choose not to drive a car at this moment of my life. So I walk to work from town. So from town to Kileleshwa, I walk, that's like 30 minutes. And that's how I bring play into my life. I create time for me to explore. How does going up the mountain mean for me? And for me, it's a mental and also physical. People of our generation are struggling with mental health issues because we're in a situation where we're being pulled in by different factors. So we have parents who want us to do things in this way, and we have a society which wants us to do things in this way. We forget how to do things in our way. So I don't think play is different from our work. It should be at the center of who we are.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for your response. George, your last question is because you said you are in government. Government is known for corruption and all bad things. Are you corrupt in government? Would you just say the state of corruption in government? How do you respond to this question?
Engineer, you need to reframe your question. Government is not corrupt. Actually, the essence of government, who is government? Not really. Government is you and me. Because government is there. Without a government, then we cannot have a country without a government. So when you talk about government being corrupt, government is not corrupt. The only people who are corrupt are individuals who work for government, but the government is not corrupt. And those who work for government, not all of them are corrupt. I've been in the government for the last over 16 years, and I can tell you that I've never seen anything that is called corruption come close. Perhaps it's because where I work, but I know for sure that those entities in government where there is perception of corruption, but not all. So if we were to talk about government being corrupt, government per se is not corrupt because government is constituted of individuals or citizens, Kenyan citizens who are working there. And not all, but we can perhaps be able to say there are few elements in government and not all departments of government that you can be able to classify that everybody is corrupt. But it's me and you. Where I work, we don't have room for corruption. But I know for sure if I was working at KRA, if I was working at Kena, if I was working at the Ministry of Lands, then perhaps the issue of corruption can come out because they work with contractors, and you know contractors are part and parcel of you and me who wants government services, and by wanting government services because of competition, you end up inducing this other person who was working for government to be able to do what? To give you a service that is supposed to give to all who has met the required qualification, and that which is required for you to be able to undertake that particular job. So we cannot per se say that the government is corrupt, but the people who government employs, who is me and you, because of the competing interest that we serve, we end up being classified as people who are corrupt.
Thank you very much. All questions were thought out, and now the questions from the plenary. We will only take 4 in the interest of time. So this column will give you 1 chance, and the first person has already, please rise, just come here. This column will also give you 1, please come. This column you'll also get only 1 chance, please come. Last column you have only 1 chance. If you sell your chance, we will give it to another. Come. Now, please listen to the rules of the questioners. If you have any question that is not strategic, that can benefit everyone in this manner, strategic level, please go and sit down. If that question is not experiential, we do not want theories, my friend, no, please go and sit down. The question must be experiential or very, very personal to you, and it will benefit everyone. So for any experiential, something you think you have been denied the chance, please, anyone? You want to ask a question that you think will benefit everyone, and we denied you the chance by selecting columns. I open the door of mercy. Yes, come, my sister. Anyone else? One more question? It covers everyone else. And you think that, I would like to add 2 more people to the engineering panel. Salim and your wife, you'll join the engineering panel. I know you are in aviation, but please join the engineering. But you can, what God has put together, let no one put aside. Yeah, so please join the engineering panel. I am also an engineer. I'll be in that panel. I will participate. So I would please, your question can be to any, but also anyone can answer. So please be precise. You can start. Your name and then the question.
My name is Joshua Obonyo. I wanted to ask a question on how, especially the panel, can tell us how long did they take before they got their first career opportunity that gave them something to start life? Especially most of the people are facing that challenge.
After learning?
Yeah. To start life, not to get a lot of money or be very comfortable, but to start the basic life. At least many people are facing that. People have stayed 5 to 10 years. The experience might be different.
Good afternoon. My name is I'm Francis Nyamweya, and I have a question to the panelists. Since we are discussing the future of careers, there is the digital economy and the digital development that has made learning nowadays to be online and self-paced. And modern technology companies, they no longer have a degree as a requirement for jobs. These multinationals and blue chip companies like Facebook, Google. So I want to know, does the digital economy or the digital disruption and the democratization of learning, does it make degrees obsolete for some careers and professions in the future? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I am Onyango Lennox Ndeda from Tuxda, student of Bachelor of Engineering in Civil Engineering, 4th year. We do a lot of structural analysis and structural dynamics. Control yourselves a bit, we are in a church. Yeah, so my question will go to Senior Morara of Kenya Copyright Board. Yeah, given that we are engineers, and especially I was opposed to my field, but electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, they do a lot of prototyping. And to access that the copyrighted or the anti-plagiarism phenomenon thereof, especially whether KIPI, Kenya Industrial Property Institute, or KIRDI, is quite a menace to them. Therefore, permit me to inquire that are you doing some mitigation to the litigation that has occurred in quest of bringing that into a harmonious way? Because of time, permit me to sit down.
Hi everyone. My name is Gloria Kemunto. I don't know if I'm loud enough. Am I? Okay. So being an introvert at work, it can be a bit of a challenge. I think this question can go to Getty or someone else. So how can you be loud about your achievements? And in that same line, how can you negotiate a promotion or a raise, especially as a lady? I'm not sure if there's still bias in gender and work. So you can answer that.
Hello everyone. I'm Lona. I'm a graduate. I graduated last year. I did mechanical engineering. And after graduating, I became more confused about what I want to do than I've ever been in my life. And I have friends who do coding, like that's what they do. So they've influenced me to gain interest also in that area. So I was caught between should I continue with what I learned in school, or should I get into this coding? Apparently, I managed to register for a course, a software engineering course. I'm almost done with it. But I don't have the courage to leave mechanical engineering. I'm currently doing internship in mechanical engineering. And I also want to pursue this other area. And so I'm caught between these two things. I don't want to leave any of them. And apparently, somehow, they don't go together. So what do I do?
Thank you very much for the questions. And I would like before the panel answers, is there someone who'd like to answer any particular question from the congregation? You want to answer one question from the congregation? Jakwath, do you want to answer any? Just, you can answer one question.
Okay, so my name is Frank Omote. I am family in technology. Maybe I'll try and answer the last question, and she will answer the question on democratization of learning. I wonder why you're not seeing the connection between what you've done, mechanical engineering, and coding. There's a lot of opportunity even in fields like IoT. I mean, there's a lot that you can actually do. For me, it's actually a very beautiful combination. So you just need to open your mind, talk to the right people, and Kithinji here can actually confirm to you that the next opportunities that we are having are actually in IoT, and you seem to be right placed for the future if you have those two combinations. So there's a lot that you can do. You're not wrong. Finish, and then just start networking and having the right connections with the right people, you will have a proper guide on what steps you can take to actually make use of your competencies. So no need to be afraid. You're in the right path.
do you get an opportunity to be able to work? Then she got me a contact who got me a job as a researcher. So I was a market interviewer in the year, that was in 2007. And I went about and did that. Then when I joined university, I was still doing the projects, going to different parts of the country to be able to interview different people. So after that, then I got another job in a community-based organization, and I was able to balance it out with the university. So during the day, I'd go in for my sessions. When I have time, then I go and volunteer at a community-based organization. So those small experiences that you think are really small really add up to building yourself and even making you stand out from the rest of the applicants in the job market. How 2 weeks came about is after university, I saw an opportunity in one of the colleges to become a lecturer. And you know, I dared myself, like, I can be able to do this thing. I can be able to teach marketing, communications, PR. I applied for the job, went for the interview, and I got the job. And you know, in that particular job, so there's a lot of challenges. I needed to study every single day. I also taught guys pursuing CPA, I taught them communication skills. I had not pursued CPA myself. So it's that, the hunger for change, there yourself. I mean, we have very, there are very limitless, I'd say there is unlimited potential with limitless opportunities. So you need to dare yourself, stand out. As you pursue your degree, are there any opportunities? Can you study any of the certification courses that will make you stand out different from the other person? Guys pursuing their finance, their accounting degrees, please, you can be able to enroll and do your professional courses as you pursue your degree courses. So that is what I can say about the job. So you need to be able to position yourself well, dare yourself that, you know, I want to be in this position in the next 5 years. So have goals that are very smart, very realistic, you know. So think about where you want to be and focus on that. And then aside from that, also back in university, I remember forming a club. It was called the MIRA, so Motivation, Inspiration, Readers Association. We did events back then that attracted the corporate world. So we went to different banks, different organizations, asked for sponsorship to be able to be part of our events. And corporates came. I remember like the president and the vice president of the club that we founded were employed by Keroche before even you finish university. So a question of also networking, it's very critical. So network as much as possible. I mean, today there's an opportunity to be able to network with all these professionals, and I know in their respective jobs, they might have internship opportunities, they might have job opportunities. So make sure you network as much as possible. Get a mentor, someone who would be able to guide you. When you're lost, when you're confused, then you can be able to reach out to this person, and they'll always be able to create opportunities. The fact that a lot of conversation about the opportunities within the change in the online, yes, with the disruption in the, in the online world. So there's also a lot of opportunities. I've seen people work as virtual assistants to companies abroad. So there's a lot of opportunities. Maybe I can just comment on Gloria's question of being an introvert, yeah? I think with each and every of the career stages, yeah, I feel like from personal, from a personal experience that I've kept on evolving based on the changes. So I remember getting into the profession in my younger years. I was an extrovert. I mean, being in the marketing profession, I was truly an extrovert. So as I went up the ladder, then I became an ambivert. So based on the circumstances, then I'd be able now to show this part of me and this other part of me. So there's always a question of how can you be able now to let your work, scream out for you. It's just being able to be excellent in what you do. You know, you can talk, but then when people see your work, then they can be able to recognize and say, Gloria, this is amazing. So this is how your work also shouts for you. Aside from that, there's also a need for team synergy in the current work environment. So you also need to be able to try and adapt as much as possible with the changes.
Thank you. Rose, I have to switch off your mic.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Allow me to take a break a little and introduce some members who are here. Allow me to acknowledge the presence of the co-founder and CEO of Zeraki Analytics. Where is it? You see the Zeraki, Be Extraordinary, who is the co-founder and CEO. We are honored to have you here with us. Allow me also to welcome and introduce AAR. They are with us. They will be handling the health roundtable discussions with Dr. Ochanda. Faith, I'm told, is in the congregation. Where is Faith? Faith from AAR and the AAR team. May you all please rise. They have also offered to offer basic health check at their booth. They can actually give basic services and tell us more about your services. AAR, we recognize your presence and we thank you for coming. Please welcome. Allow me to welcome the third group is my sisters. My two sisters are here. Please rise. She and Linda, I saw them. Sheila, say hi. Linda, cylindrical. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please feel at home. And now to the panelists, answer the question. Please.
Yeah, I think mine.
Let's try to point.
One asked about how long it takes to, let me say, make a break or get a job and get some basics in life. I can tell you there's no standard time. As she said, she got it in 2 weeks. I know of a friend who got it after 5 years, and even the girlfriend had already left. So, and I also want to say this.
The girlfriend left him?
Yes, left him because he had not got a job. Yeah, so the girlfriend left. Girl. So, I also want to say this. Even that getting of your job may not be dependent on your degree, whether it was first class or whatever it is. I've seen people with first class get jobs after 2-3 years. I've also seen somebody who was second class lower get a job immediately. So there are some things that one cannot prescribe, but the thing is, your time will surely come. So don't get depressed, don't feel like all is gone. And I remember like this guy who got this job after more than 5 years, he got a job and is now doing much better than those who got their jobs immediately after school. So it's never a given or a guarantee. Then secondly, I also want to talk about an introvert. And I want to say this, being an introvert at times, especially in the corporate world, will be very limiting because many a times we want you to be visible. You must build a brand around yourself. What will you be known for? I can tell you this, you cannot grow if you are only known for being, yule mtu amenyamaza, huyo muache tu. So you find when people are discussing about growth, wanajua tu wewe ni mzuri tu. People know you as a good person because you are quiet. But people also want to know you as somebody who is outspoken. And I can tell you, and I like the way marketers, by the way, marketers don't really get along with engineers very well because at times marketers can blow something like this out of proportion, but an engineer will look at this and say, no, is this worth making noise about? So at times, I would say this, do that small thing and also make noise about it. Start with the small crowd around you, make noise about it. It's also, the problem is that especially with the introvert, they feel like, what if people say something negative about me? Don't worry about what people will say about you. Think about the thing that you are talking about. And try to get opportunities where you can speak out your mind and all that. Actually, a month ago, I was in Europe and I also realized this person who was taking us through how she was an introvert and it was limiting, and she started growing, doing some few projects here and there within the organization, and she grew. So you can also grow. And then finally, I also want to say something about the degrees. By the way, get that degree. It is just a validation of that knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, be visible. I think that is very, very important with your actions and with yourself. Dr.
I just want to comment about this myth about personalities.
Yes.
We have 4 basic personalities, okay? The melancholics, who are introverts, sanguines, who are outgoing, cholerics, who are always laughing even when they are crying, and phlegmatics, who are slow. There is no one ideal personality trait. The ideal human being is one who is dynamic. There is time to be a sanguine, time to be a melancholic, time to be a phlegmatic, and a time to be a choleric. So whichever personality, we grade them just because what is dominant in you. Each of us, there is something dominant. But you can develop each of the aspects because every human being has all those four. It's just a question of which one you allow to grow, to dominate your life. So we should be dynamic. There's time for everything. Number two, in my profession, fortunately, I don't know much about time to take to establish yourself in career, because in my time when you finished the medical school, the jobs were there waiting for you, fighting over you. But basically, after undergraduate in the medical profession, you need at least 1 or 2 years of general practice after internship to be able to know really what specialization you want to take. When you take your postgraduate training specialization, then we always do a sub-specialization. If, for example, you do internal medicine, you want to be a cardiologist or a neurologist or whichever system you want to take, another 1 or 2 years before you pick one. So there is, that's the best, but there are people who go straight and they don't wait. Let me let others answer. I wanted to talk something about the career negotiations.
Yes, I think just say it. You have 1 second left, so say it. Yeah.
Please, whatever your hands find to do,
yes,
do it with all your diligence. Proverbs tells us that have you seen a man who is diligent in his work? He will eat with kings. Whatever you do, if you are good in it, jobs will chase after you. You will not have to struggle negotiating to move up the ladder.
Thank you. Please.
Okay. Let me just answer one lady who requested to know if there are procedures or setups which guides one on how to achieve to get to achievements or get promotions. There's something I normally share with my students wherever I've got these kind of conversations. Let me give you 2 examples. If you are given, for example, you're given an internship in an organization, the way Dr. has said, my advice to the new interns joining my organizations is always the same. Give it the best shot you can think of. You give it your best.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're given an internship position in any organizations, that's where employers are getting employees from. Give it the best. And chances are you'll be given a permanent job in that organization. But if you come in, and this is an issue I was handling the other week, you know, this is how I was born, I don't interact the way you think with other crew members. There's a course we do in CRM, crew cockpit resource management, where we need to tune you to our procedures. Whether you're introvert or you're outgoing, you need to sing our song. For you to get a promotion and be assured of your job, there's a training we take you through which you need to align your mind into. And the introduction, those trainings determines if you can remain with us, you can get a promotion, or you are there for a few days. So wherever you go to institutions, you've got a new job, you're from the universities, So whenever you're given those chances, just align your thinking, the way you do things, not the way you are doing them in the universities, as per the company procedures. They are what we call best standard practices. Those are the SOPs, standard operating procedures. You need to align your thinking, the way you do things, to those company procedures, and you can be assured of getting a promotion. But if we stand here and tell you there's a way you need to behave when you're in front of a manager for him to give you a promotion, those are lies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before she answers, engineer wanted to answer a particular question, and I think from the congregation, let's allow.
Thank you, engineer. I wanted to answer 2 questions. One from the last lady, about whether she should pursue the last course or the mechanical engineering. I'm a textbook example. I did civil engineering and I did CPA. I went for an interview for accounting. I practiced accounting for some few months. I went back to engineering. I did engineering, and I continued pursuing engineering for a while. Then at the consulting firm, people used to call me to accounting because I stood out with the accounting skill, which is irrelevant in that office. But then there came a time when they advertised a job. It was a third re-advertisement where they needed a civil engineer who is an accountant. At that time, I talked to my wife. At that time, she was my girlfriend about it, and we were for the idea that I just pursue civil engineering. But then there was this stubborn fella in my office who applied that job on my behalf. So, because you know, when you have a best friend, you share CVs, you share the cover letter for them to edit it. So I was called for an interview that I even don't know about. I asked, the first suspect, of course, was my desk mate at work. So I asked him about it. He told me that he's the one who applied it on my behalf. I asked him for the CV and the cover letter that he sent. He told me he sent a hard copy. He doesn't have a copy. So I attended that interview, and who knows, now I got the job, and I'm an aviation projects auditor, which requires engineering and an accounting part of it. So don't give up, just master each area that you're pursuing. You never know when it will count, but it will actually count one day. Okay, then to the next question about whether the degree counts at this time and age. I'm a board member to, I think, a few institutions in this country, and it's unfortunate when I see the administration has brought cases where somebody has worked in that institution for like 25 years. He doesn't have a degree, but they have advertised a job. There is this young fella who has come who has a degree and has to be given the job because one of the requirements was a degree. Actually, 2 months ago, I had to solve that case with the management where they are saying we have somebody is 53 years. He has been having a diploma all along, but this job requires an undergraduate. And there is a lady who is 29 years old who was an undergraduate and we think should be given the job. So it's unfortunate, but you need to have a degree. And there is this conversation even about degrees. I don't know if you watch news, whether they're authentic or not, that is going around. That should tell you that we are in a country where degree is very important. And just have a degree. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please proceed.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to answer the question on negotiating. I'll leave out the salaries and negotiating in workspaces as a woman. And allow me to make it practical. Could I negotiate for 2 more minutes? Because, thank you. Because I'll have to, unfortunately I'll not join the round table because of time. I have another engagement after this. Yes. So negotiating, I really like the background, the scientific background you've been given about personalities. And I'd encourage us as young people to always deconstruct and always question things which have been sold to us as truths, you know? Oh, this is my personality. This is how I love. This is my love language. I'm a gifts person. But it could be more than that, you know? Because it's been sold to us as that's how it is, does not mean that's how it's meant to be. But I acknowledge also that you can be introverted. And for me, it shows up in different ways. So for example, recently when I was back in Oxford, and I had to attend a meeting where it's all like, I'm the only black person and it's all professors who are white. And I just found myself unable to negotiate anything, unable to talk anything. So there's wines and water. So I just chose not to take any drink or any water because I did not want to stay in that space. I walked out, you know? And that's something that I questioned when I went and met my friends, because why is it that I'm unable to function in such an environment? And I consider myself as a perpetual learner. So I'm learning how to be in such spaces, but also be assertive. Now let me bring the word assertiveness. So immediately after I came back to Kenya, I joined a fellowship, and most of my colleagues were other Kenyan women. And one thing which I struggled with, it was virtual. No one puts on their video. No one, when you ask questions, people say yes, no, or I don't have any thoughts on that. And I was like, wait, there's no intellectual honesty happening here. Like, don't you feel wasted when you show up in a space and you just don't engage? you know, and those are things I found myself questioning. So, in personality aside, I think you can show up in a space and engage, you know. Don't just show up in a meeting and be okay with just sitting cool and, yeah, I'm done. But what is your thoughts? Like, what are your thoughts on what's being discussed? What can you say? And sometimes it's quite confusing what you just said. Do you mind repeating what you said? Or, I do not agree with what you said. And something also with our system and also our society is, as women, we're taught not to question. Especially in a patriarchal society, and you're speaking to a man who's way older than you, some of them will be like, don't you realize age here? And that's one thing I was really scared with coming back to Kenya. I was like, how am I gonna survive going into an institution and I am given maybe a role which is way higher and probably someone who's way older than me has to speak to me. Am I going to survive in this? But I learned how assertiveness is not rudeness, but it's acknowledging that you have something to bring to the table. Now, using my 2 minutes that I negotiated for, when it comes to the lady who's thinking of switching, I would say do both. Yes. And I'd recommend a TED Talk. It's called Multipotentiality. It's by a lady called Emily. I forget her second name. I'm in the process of currently reflecting and thinking about what multipotentiality means. It responds to people such as us who never wanted to be just one thing, but who thought of their lives as being, I can be many things at different points of my life. So please go explore that. But having said that, during a trip in New York when I was in undergrad, I'd been selected to represent my school at a conference in Harvard. So we did a multi-tour, so left Boston, then went down to New York. And when we were there, we visited the office for the UN representative of Kenya then. And being quite assertive, I remember asking him a question, and I was quite keen on becoming a diplomat after my undergrad. Like, not after my undergrad, to work towards that pathway. And I asked him, how do I become a diplomat? What should I do to become a diplomat? And he started by questioning my question and telling me that's a wrong question to ask. But this is what you should do. I want you to go and excel in whatever you do and explore different areas. You will still become a diplomat. And that's one thing I do right now, like exploring different areas. I like what he said. You'll find a space that shows up that wants people with skills, multi-skills that you have. And I think in such way, when I equip myself with so many skills, I will not lack. Yeah. And because like God has blessed us with so much, like, for me, like, I treasure my brain, I treasure my body, and I'm like, if I'm given this opportunity, I'll make the most of it. And if God has given us the opportunity to learn, then let's learn as much as we can. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. George.
Okay, let me stand. The first question was, how long did it take me to be where I am? My first job was not what I wanted. But now, what came to my mind is what my law professor taught me. He did say that a degree is a key whose destination is not known. You have a degree, but you don't know where it's heading, where it will take you. Now, when I came back to Kenya, I didn't want to wait and stay without work. I started looking for work. I didn't want to go to any law firm because I knew they were not paying. So in town, I spotted a place where they wanted lecturers. And I said, I can try this. I made application and I was called for an interview. You know the paper that I was told to teach? Shipping law. I've never known anything about shipping, but I said I can try. So I was given that paper to go and teach. I did my best, and what they were paying in commission. If, depending on the number of the students that you have, you are paid a commission of 30%. I said I can take it. It can be a climbing stone for me. I did that for about 6 months. Then I managed to get a better place in Westlands. And this one, I was also given an opportunity to go and teach. But what I was doing is, I was given to develop a course program for those students who are doing diploma in law. And I was given to teach everything. And I said, how can I teach everything? And I said, because I want money, I can be able to do my best. I developed a program that is still there up to now. But I taught there for 6 months, and for almost 1 year. Then I said, I'm not going to teach everything. I need to look for a different thing to do. Then I joined the government. When I joined government in the year 2006, still as a lecturer, but at Kenya School of Government. I joined at a job group L. For those who are in government, like engineer here, they know. Then I said, while I'm working for government, I must endeavor that I develop in the government to the highest level. In the government, once you're there, after 3 years, you move to the next program, or you move to the next grade. So I've worked for government for 16 years, but now, believe me not, every 3 years I was moving. Every 3 years I was moving. And you know, once you're in job T in government, you are at the peak. So in government, once you are there, you ensure that you do your career progression well. You do the necessary courses that is required for you to move to the next level. That's what we have been doing, and that's what I've been doing. My colleagues whom I joined government with, I don't know where they are in terms of their career progression. And I know with God, everything is possible. Now, I want to come up with the other participants who asked a question about, I think, IP. I did not get your question correctly, but I want to believe you meant about the issues of piracy. Yes. I didn't get that question properly, but I want to believe that it was about piracy or copying somebody else's work. Is that what you meant? To some extent. Now, now let me answer to that extent that you have asked. Now, when you talk about IP, I did say that my area of specialization is on intellectual property rights. When you talk about IP is the creation of the mind, and it entails matters relating to innovation, copyright, design rights, trademark, geographical indication, etc. Now, being an IP expert, or everybody, the way we are here, each of us, you can have what we call the creation of the mind. Now, that is a property that you have been given, that you are endowed with. Now, how do you protect that which is untouchable? You have to reduce it in a form, in a written format, if in case it's a copyright. If in case it's an innovation, it's under patent and industrial design. Once you have that, you ensure that it's protected accordingly. In Kenya, we have institutions that deals exclusively with the issues of IP. For instance, the institution that I work for, that is Kenya Copyright Board, which is a state parastatal in the Office of the Attorney General and Department of Justice, where we deal exclusively on matters copyright. We have also KIPI, which is Kenya Industrial Property Institute, which deals with patents, trademark, industrial design, geographical indications, and we have the other institution that deals with the issues of animal breeders' rights. Now, if you have an IP that you need to protect in form of a copyright, in form of trademark, in form of industrial design, you must ensure that you follow the requisite procedures and ensure that it's protected. Once it's protected, the burden of proof is on your side to ensure that you guard this property so that nobody reproduces what you have, nobody copies what you have, because everybody, the government might not know that you have, this is your right. So it's for you to safeguard. For instance, if I have a piece of land, the government cannot be able to come in to protect you until you bring an issue that somebody else is trespassing through my piece of land. That's when you can be able to do what? To get a recourse. Likewise, in matters that are intellectual, the owner of the copyright or the owner of the patent is the one who knows that all our rights are being infringed, and then you bring an action against. If you have a work that is somebody else is copying outside there and selling as if it is, you need to guard that so that you bring an action to the relevant entities for protection. So you cannot be able to say that somebody else is using my work and yet you are not yourself ensuring that property is being protected. So you ensure that it's protected and know the right institutions where that can be protected. I think that is all that.
Thank you very much. Now, in the interest of time, I have two panelists I have to bring, two matters I have to bring to your attention before we break to the roundtable groups. The first matter I need to bring to your attention, Faith from AAR, the doctor from AAR, I'm told you want to leave. Please hold, we started a little late. Zeraki, please come. He wants to make a statement and tell us, also contribute to this discussion. We will have the groups disorganized in this manner. We have proposed that back there be given to engineering, technology, and aviation, the whole space at the back, so that the people who are going to the back, center back, healthcare, Eldochanda, will be located elsewhere here at the back. So those teams will be there. Zeraki has something to say, and then AR.
Okay, I just wanted to add something about like the difficulty of finding
Please
a job.
introduce yourself.
Sorry.
Your name and the company. What does it do exactly? And then you can contribute to this one.
Okay, my name is Isaac Nyangolo. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Zeraki. If you're in high school, you 50% chance you know Zeraki because 50% of high school results are processed on Zeraki. We've been building it for 7 years. That's 50% of exam results in high school. I wanted to talk about the job environment. When I was growing up, there was this song, so many vijana mwisho wa utapata kazi nzuri. Our parents grew up in that generation where if you study, get a degree, you will get a job. Our generation, let's say 2000 all the way to around, let's say 2010, 2013, if you studied, got a degree, generally you get a job. But for the last 5 years, that's not true. And I invite you to just like go look at the stats. I think in 2019, the formal jobs created in the country was about 73,000. The number of people who graduated from university was 75,000. Formal jobs in Kenya includes jobs that people who have diplomas, certificates, or people who also do not have any qualification have. So you can estimate that the number of jobs that was available for people with university degrees was probably 45,000 or less. So that means the person who's graduating right now is competing with people who graduated 5 years ago and have not yet gotten jobs. So that means that when you see me saying that I found a job very easily, I'm lucky. Any person who finds a job really easily right now is really lucky. Most people will need to really struggle to get that first job, and your first salary is also going to be kidogo. The government statistics are a little bit messed up on it. I think the average salary in Kenya is either 35,000 a month or 67 a month, depending on which stats you look for. So that means if you're starting off in the formal job market today, if you get a job paying 30,000, 40,000, that's a really good job. But I think the expectations that we have when we get into the job market is a little bit distorted. So what I'm saying is, I don't remember your name, the lady, Rosie. So what Rosie was saying about like networking, about finding all those opportunities, it is not a luxury. It is what you must do to get a job. Right now, it's not easy. The person who gets the job easily is lucky. The second thing, I work in IT. We employ about 100 and something people, but our tech team is like the biggest nightmare. Anybody who's working in tech in Kenya today, tech is really difficult. So our entry-level software programmers, we pay them at around the same rate we pay our managers who've been working with us for a while. And that's something that's there in the whole industry. People are struggling to get techies. I think that's word that has not yet gotten out to people who are at the university or people just leaving the university. There is a global shortage of software programmers. So if it is something you love, I would urge you to go all out on it. We've gone to the extent of employing people on near full-time salaries when they're in campus, just so that when they finish campus, they come and work with us and don't go to work at Safaricom, which apparently pays about 180,000 shillings a month for a starting salary for an entry-level programmer leaving university. And that's not only Safaricom, there are several people. So if you like software programming, keep in mind that it's something that the demand is really high, and you can be employed globally even with your degree from Kenya. I think those are the 2 points I really needed to make.
Thank you. The AAR, the doctor from AAR. Is it Faith or Daktari to just say, please introduce AAR and say something? And then we are going to break. As we break, one disc has already been given to you, and TED talk called Multi-Potentiality. Please listen to it. I have. The next one, which we wanted to play, is called Humans Need Not Apply. This was done 7 years ago, and please look at it. We wanted to play them, but we do not have the time. And then the third thing is the use of statistics in decision making. Even in career choice, look at the stats. What is this career heading towards? So Zeraki has explained us. Allow me to introduce AAR, and then you can introduce yourself and say something.
Good afternoon, everyone. I've brought Daktari because everyone has their strengths. So my name is Faith Mutugi. I work with AR Healthcare. We have AR Insurance and Healthcare. So from us, we are from the healthcare team. We are a chain of outpatient centers, and it's really beautiful to see what you guys are doing for the youth, because of course there's a lot of misinformation and miscommunication when it comes to career growth and all that. So you'll come to our tent and we'll let you know what we do. But what I'd like to point out is that there is, I think, opportunity in all the departments. Because like for me, my undergrad is in psychology, and here I am doing marketing. And I'm doing marketing because when I was in university, I worked part-time in experiential marketing. So those promotions you see, I got employed before I finished actually my undergrad. So it helps to also start somewhere. So that's, I think, basically what I would say. But within our industry, I know when people think of healthcare, they think of doctors and nurses, but we have people in marketing, we have people in IT, people in communication, we also have people in the hospitality industry. So don't limit yourself. If I did hospitality, I'm only looking for a job in a 5-star hotel. Be open-minded about finding opportunities, even in industries you didn't think, but there's a place for everyone in most of these industries. So I'll let Dr. Amai speak.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, my name is Dr. Wamai Ndirito, and I want to just stand here to get a look at Professor, because Professor Chanda was actually my professor back at University of Nairobi. He might not remember me, but he definitely remember you, and the very positive impact you had in our lives. Yeah. I graduated in 2015. I've been a doctor for the last 6 years, and I can tell you, maybe I can actually bridge the gap between the very elderly doctors that you normally see in the hospitals and the young doctors like us. Yeah? So maybe I'm actually closer to the younger generation than the elderly doctors that are there. And I will tell you, medicine is one of the most fulfilling things I've done. Yeah? Forget what you see on TV, doctors going on strikes, doctors rolling on the streets, carrying banners. There are those things that, yes, we do demand from government, and my colleague is in government. Yeah, we demand from government some certain minimum standards, yeah, that should be set for every health worker. But I will not go into those details right now. I will actually just talk about medicine. And one thing I've seen that is a bit unfair, so to speak, is that nowadays people are told, you don't have to be a doctor, you don't have to be a lawyer. Be a doctor, yeah? Be a doctor. Medicine is very fulfilling. And then medicine is not hard. Yeah? I think that's the biggest myth that we have, that medicine is hard. Medicine is a lot. It is not hard. Yeah? A lot. It's a lot. Yeah? So we have big books, but there are no tricks. There are no tricks in medicine. Yeah? You might find, contrary to, in things like science, things like mathematics, accounting, those things tend to have a lot of tricks in them. Yeah? You're given a question, and then at the end of the day, you wonder, how is this question related to what I've just read up here? Yeah? But medicine is not like that. Medicine, you'll be told a patient came like this, presented like this. What is the diagnosis of this patient? How do you manage this patient? So medicine, as long as you have read, you will be okay. There are no tricks in medicine. They're just big books and big words. Yeah? You see, like now, I'll give an example. There's a muscle that attaches here to the sternum, and this particular muscle that we have here. That muscle is called the sternocleidomastoid.
It's called?
It's called the sternocleidomastoid, and the professor will tell you that. Yeah.
Repeat the name. The name is
sternocleidomastoid. Yeah. So it's a very big word, but it's just telling you a muscle that comes from the mastoid to the sternum. Yeah, and it attaches onto the clavicle. So medicine is very fulfilling. It's very rewarding. When you finish your undergraduate in medicine, you will then now proceed to do internship, a paid internship by the government of Kenya, something that the union is really struggling to ensure that it continues. Yeah, and then after you do your internship, again, like Professor mentioned, you do your about 2-3 years as a medical officer, which is actually where I am right now. Yeah. After you do your medical officer bit, then you proceed to do your postgraduate studies. Currently, I am actually eyeing to do my postgraduate. I've actually done some entrance exams, which are required of you. And all in all, I'm enjoying it. And I want to actually just give encouragement to anybody who's here. Yeah? Please, like I mentioned, I've seen the media say, yeah, you know, you don't have to be a lawyer, you don't have to be a doctor, you can be anything else. But if you want to be a doctor, please pursue and be a doctor. Yeah? Medicine is very interesting, very rewarding, very fulfilling. And
thank you very much.
Yes, sorry. Lastly, before I give back the mic, there's something I want to just touch on because I'm actually leaving, sorry. I want to touch on to the issue of mental illness. Yeah? Mental illness and drug abuse, like our professors actually mentioned. It is very rampant, even among health workers. Yeah? So I don't want anybody to think that doctors, nurses, pharmacists actually don't undergo these similar issues. We are all just human beings who undergo normal life stresses. But I think I've also by coming here, I've also learned something from Professor. If you have not actually started doing these things, don't start. Please don't start. I'm so passionate about it because I see a lot of youth in hospital. Yeah, someone is 29. Yeah, but when you look at their liver, it's like someone who's 70. Yeah, you see people who have really wasted their lives and they had a lot of potential. Yeah, so kindly, I think I'll also actually pursue that line and actually discourage any youth out there. Kindly do not engage in drugs. The catastrophic results, we see them in hospital. Yeah. We see them in hospital. You find a 55-year-old man, yeah, somebody is hallucinating in the hospital. Yeah, someone is hallucinating because of drugs. So kindly, I'm also very passionate about the issue of drugs, and let us just completely desist from it. Everything that you're being told by your peers, how they actually help, how drugs do this and this, those are lies. Yeah, those are lies. And please, at the end of this all, I hope, let us not meet in hospital because of that particular issue. If you're meeting in hospital,
thank you very much.
For another issue.
Let's hope we don't meet in hospital. Let's hope we don't meet in hospital, especially because of drug and substance abuse. Thank you very much, Dr. We thank AAR for their presence. AAR will be on the tent out. I want to bring 2 notices to you as the panel goes. The first is that we will, after the round table, you will have a chance to interact. But we will come back after lunch. Right now we are going to the various tables. After that, we will serve you lunch. Please do not leave. After the lunch, you will have a chance to ask not only this panel, but everyone else a question that you think will make a difference to us. There are questions that are being sent online. If you send them, I will actually receive them. If you send the question, I will receive. So after that, we will be able to have mock interviews, then question and answer session, and networking with the professionals who have come. For now, allow me to release the panelists here. Thank you very much.